Welcome back to Football Pie, and you'll never guess what we've got in store for you. It's the early season review.
Yes, there's a lack of Premier League action this weekend, so we thought we'd kind of look back on the Premier League so far and see what it's given us.
Rule changes, tactical innovations, and a certain Mr. Sam Allardyce have all contributed to a rather juicy start to the campaign. Today we're going to run through our most impressive player,
Our least impressive player,
most impressive team,
least impressive team,
best goal,
best game,
and biggest surprise package. So, Waino, which player has impressed you the most so far this season?
I'm going to go with an old pal of mine, Mr. James Milner. So Klopp's vision has become realised at Liverpool since moving James Milner back to left back, a position that was of concern to a lot of Liverpool fans. Only 7% of Liverpool fans were happy with options for the left back position, according to a BBC poll at the beginning of the season. He's always been one of the most hard-working players in the league, and a lot of people know that. And that work rate has been utilised very well in the new Liverpool system. He's also thrived in the big moments, netting all 4 of his penalties. He's been very much a role model this season, happy to play in any position for the team, and he's been consistently brilliant. So what about you, Michael?
Well, in light of recent events, I've just got to go with Heung-min Son. He's been a shining light for Tottenham since Kane's injury, to the point where they just don't miss him. With 4 goals in 4 games, he's already equalled his tally for the whole of last season, and he's also had 2 assists. Last term, he was reduced to sitting on the bench for much of the season, gaining only 13 starts. Despite playing well when he was on the pitch, there was even talk of him leaving White Hart Lane in the summer. Always a hard worker, a bit like James Milner. He seems like he's finally getting his reward now, and he's thriving in this new centre-forward role, a position which he himself will admit he's hardly played in before.
So Michael, who have you been least impressed by?
I'm going to have to go with Winston Reid. I've not been the most impressed with him. A centre-half who West Ham fans have relied on for quite a few years now, and unfortunately he seems to epitomise the side's early season collapse. It's crazy to think that this time last year he was impressing on a weekly basis, and he was also even included in Sam Allardyce's all-time career 11 only very recently. You can pin the Hammers' early season demise on many players, including the captain Mark Noble in particular, but it's the defence that has looked particularly nervous in these opening games, and Reid really should be marshalling it far, far better. With him in the side, they've conceded 2 per game, and in the meantime he's only attempted 6 tackles, so all in all a pretty poor start to the season for a centre-half of his calibre. So what about you, Waino?
Mine might be a bit surprising. I've gone for Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Just the stature of the guy, his persona, his image, is all based around scoring goals, and he's been wasting far, far too many chances. For a striker who scored 38 goals last season, with a shot accuracy of only 33% this season, is way, way off the mark. Considering the amount of crosses United have put in the box, 179 in total, Ibra's only scored 1 header so far this season in the Premier League. He's also missed 5 big chances this season, which suggests he's feeling a bit nervous in front of goal. I'm dead to Zlatan my arse, really.
Indeed, yeah. Now on to the teams. So, who has caught your eye so far?
I'm going to have to say Liverpool. There seems to be a really good feeling at the club at the moment. I mean, they're looking solid across the park. They've come through against very tough opponents. The start of the season was very difficult for them, and they seem to have addressed a lot of their problems from last season. Compared to this stage last season, they've got 5 more points. They have an increased goal difference of 10, and they've got the most shots, passes and goals this season in the Premier League. Their pressing and attacking game has improved massively. If they can just tweak the defence to shore it up a little bit more, we're looking at potential champions there. So what are your thoughts, Michael?
This is a bit of an obvious one, but we can't ignore the Pep evolution at Manchester City. We simply cannot ignore it. You can't argue with a near perfect start to the season, and despite the last 2 results being, not the best, it's almost as if they've been planned. The international break could not have come at a better time for this group of players. Stones has looked fantastic since coming in, as has Gundogan, and Sterling looks like he's threatening to hit the form of his life. And that's not to mention the rest of the squad, who as a unit are looking pretty frightening at the moment. Barring any massive injuries, this is a squad that actually genuinely looks like they can challenge on 4 fronts this season. Probably the first English side to be able to do so since Ronaldo era Man United. They also seem to be taking on Guardiola's instructions with ease. Recently, Kolarov's been a bit of a problem, but apart from that, there can be few complaints for Manchester City fans, with Waino's inflated ego the only exception. My most disappointing team, considering I tipped them for the title, is Chelsea. Already they are off the pace with the top teams, and without Terry in the side, their defence is in dire straits. With the exception of N'Golo Kante, who at the moment is carrying a pretty big burden, it's clear that Conte did not get the players that he was after in the transfer window. Of course, they are miles better than at this stage last season, but a Conte side with a sloppy defence is just a little bit strange to watch, and they've already lost both their matches against their big rivals this season.
For obvious reasons, I have to go with West Ham. Their season so far, on and off the pitch, has been absolutely awful. The move to the London City Stadium this year has created a strange mood around the club, and fan trouble has been a regular occurrence. And with 5 losses out of 7 games, you can kind of see why they're angry. Their defence has been non-existent at times, looking complacent when they're in the lead and uninspired when they're losing, leading to 17 goals conceded, which is the worst in the Premier League so far. Without Payet's service and Antonio's goals, we'd be looking at a major crisis. Bilic surely doesn't have much time to sort this out.
Sort it out, Bilic.
Sort it out. For best goal, I've picked the beauty that was Jordan Henderson's screamer at Stamford Bridge. A delicious, looping shot, up there with any Steven Gerrard classic. Such a big goal in a big game. Henderson setting a great example as the captain. Absolutely unstoppable. Give that man a pie.
As it happens, I have also gone for a goal from a captain. For me, Troy Deeney's strike against West Ham was irresistible. Yes, it did come after some woeful Hammers defending, but it was an absolute peach of a curling lob, the definition of cheeky. That goal was the turning point in what happens to be my favourite game so far this season, a game that Watford went on to win 4-2. It also featured Dimitri Payet's scrumptious Rabona assist, which really summed up West Ham's confidence in the first half. The second half couldn't have been more different, with Watford hitting back wonderfully. West Ham's defence crumbled and they had to swallow their pride.
Arsenal-Liverpool at the Emirates kicked off the season in some style. Fast pace, great goals and lots of them. Classic Premier League. Mane's lovely solo goal was an absolute highlight. Definitely defined the match. My surprise package this season is Jordan Pickford in goal for Sunderland, who's been an absolute revelation. Manone's injuries threatened to add to David Moyes' countless problems. Pickford stepped up and provided him with a potential permanent solution. Pickford has continued where he left off last season on loan at Preston, putting some commanding performances in between the sticks, making 27 saves so far. On this form, it's very difficult to see this young Englishman lose his place in the starting 11.
For me, it's really nice to see Idris Aguirre finally getting the recognition he deserves as he bosses it in midfield for Everton. He was the only decent player during the Aston Villa nightmare last season, and with good players around him and a great manager behind him, he's been able to shine. The stats speak for themselves. Most tackles of any player with 36, and third most passes with 452. Give that man a pie.
So that's all we've got time for this week. What do you think of our choices? Let us know on our Twitter at Waino and Mac.
Or you can leave a comment in the section below. Links to all our content coming up. Please let us know your thoughts. Join the discussion and tuck into a slice of football pie.